was young. They sent him to medical school, and it was one of the better schools at Belleville in New York, Bellevue in New York, and they then put him in as medical director at the Health Reform Institute, which he then built into Battle Creek Sanitarium and continued to build it, and you see how much it became over the years that he was a leader. This is a picture of him with Ella Eaton and some of their adopted children. They're together. Later in his life, Kellogg liked to wear white. Now, he claimed it was for good health. Somehow it let the light fibers through. That wasn't true. Here's another one of him towards the end of his life, still wearing white. I think the truth is he was a showman, and he liked to be the center of attention. He was a short man. I forget his exact height, but he'd be about like this to me. And you can go see a picture of his clothes. They're obviously of a shorter man. But he did a study on himself. This tells a lot about a person, by the way. And he measured his torso and his legs against other people. And it turns out that he concluded that his torso was of the size of a 6-foot tall man. In other words, a good height man. And his legs were shorter. So he would tell people, it's just legs. So he's really not short, it's just my legs. What type of person was he? How does a person play sports? That says a lot about a person. He liked golf. The way he played golf is he would hit the ball, and then he'd take off running after it. So he'd go chase his ball. That tells you a lot about a person. His wife, Ella Eaton, this is her with him, is an under-recognized woman. She is one of the founders of the Dietetics Association in America, was connected with it. And Kellogg invented cornflakes in her kitchen. What does that tell you?
She has her credit.
She deserved, I think, some credit. It is true he did a lot of different studies and stuff, so I'm not trying to say Kellogg wasn't an important part. But the truth is, she was a remarkable lady. She was not a Seventh-day Adventist, though. She was a Seventh-day Baptist. You can look just up the street from the sanitarium. It's not here, but if we go back there and you saw the sanitarium, and there's a Seventh-day Baptist church just beyond. And so she would go to that church, and although she would sometimes come to the Seventh-day Adventist church. During the time when Kellogg was writing on panentheistic views, remember the book Living Temple? It was at that very same time a Seventh-day Baptist thinker, theologian, A.H. Lewis, was writing very similar pantheistic ideas. Makes me wonder if some of his ideas came through his wife's connection to Seventh-day Baptist thinking. I don't know. More study needs to be done on it. I've wanted to take time to study and do that more, but I haven't had time. Maybe one of you can do it. Do some study on it. Kellogg, I already told you on the bus how he ended up being separated from the church. He had all kinds of intrigues. He tried to take control of the Dime Tabernacle. People started not trusting him. They were suspicious. Finally, he was disfellowshipped from the church, from the Battle Creek Church. And he took this institution away from the Seventh-day Adventists. I already mentioned that. Made it non-denominational. And it was tragic. He went through his life kind of putting down Seventh-day Adventists. The one person he couldn't bring himself to take off of his board when he could have is Ellen White. And there was always a sympathy in his heart toward her. And I'm glad to be able to say that towards the end of his life, according to the pastor who worked with him down in Florida, where he was at the sanitarium he had down there, that he developed a desire to come back to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And even went so far that that pastor said that he believed that if he could have been rebaptized, he would. But at the end of his life, his health condition didn't allow it. And so it seems that right at the end of his life, he sought to make reconciliation. He also tried to reconcile with his brother, who's buried right over there, who really did become the rich man. His name is W.K. Kellogg. Here's a picture of W.K. Kellogg. We won't walk over to that grave. But he wrote a letter to W.K. trying to make things right because they had been alienated over ownership of the rights to cornflakes and other things, and W.K. Kellogg had won the suit, and so they were, anyway, so he tried to reconcile, but he died before W.K. could get back to him. And so W.K., who lived longer, always felt sad that he couldn't have reconciled with his brother. You know, there's all kinds of things, lessons that this tells us, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Wish we had time to go into some of those. But so Kellogg's an amazing character. We could talk a long time about him, but I don't think we have time. Let's go on. We're going to stop real briefly at the Goodloe Harper, not Goodloe, John Beinson grave. So let's go over there. First President of the Conference.